In this lesson, we are going to talk about classes and objects, and now we're going to create our own classes and our own objects within Java. Let's get into how we do this. Recall from our previous lessons, when we have a class or an object, it has two things. We have stuff, which we called fields or variables. And we also do things, which we called methods, or sometimes we called behaviors. Although methods are really the official term within an object-oriented programming language. So we have these two things. We've dealt with methods before, and we've started to create some of our own methods. We haven't created fields yet. We're going to get into that. But let's talk about what a class itself is. So what is a class? Well, a class is an idea of something. It's the idea of what something does and what it has. So it's the idea of something. Or sometimes it can be called the definition of something. So it's the definition of what will become our objects. For example, let's say I want to create a class that defines what a dog is. So I want to create a class that defines dog. And our standard convention is to capitalize whenever we have classes. So not dog. So we have a dog. And my dog is going to have a few things. So the stuff that a dog might need in order to define what a dog is maybe I need to know its breed. Maybe I need to know its coat color. Maybe I need to know its age. And maybe there are some other things that I need to know about this dog. Now, a dog could also do things. So a dog might bark. A dog might wag its tail. It might roll over. These are all things that a dog might do, and there might be other things that we decide as programmers when we're defining our class what our dog might do and what's important for us within our program. Now, we've created the idea of what a dog is. We know the things that we want to keep track of, but then we need to create the object. So the object is the thing itself. The thing itself. So in our example of our dog, we might have our dog Fido that we store in a variable called Fido. And Fido will have particular things. So the stuff will be maybe the Fido is a golden retriever. And the coat color is going to be golden. And maybe Fido is 5 years old. And so we have all of this stuff for Fido that is specific to Fido's object. And when Fido barks, he's going to say woof. And when Fido wags his tail, maybe we'll say he's happy. And when he rolls over, he gets a treat. Some of these behaviors might be defined by the class and cannot change. Some of these behaviors might be influenced by what information we give our method. So we may give some new information to our method to change the behavior, or it may be set by the class. That may be something that we say doesn't change across all breeds of dog. So our methods and our stuff can change depending on what we as programmers decide is important. All right, so now we need to actually write the code for this. We're going to quickly define what these things are, look at them broadly, and then we're going to, in the next video, dive into how to actually do this. One thing we need to be aware of is that Java doesn't have to have all of the code within one file. We can have it in multiple files within a directory, which is another name for a folder. So as long as all of our classes are within the same folder structure, Java will look for that information within our folder to make sure that we have everything linked up. So we don't have to do that. But we do need to write a couple key things. First, we're going to write the keyword public. Public means that any class who's able to see this folder is going to be able to access the information inside of this class. And for the most part, all of our classes should be declared as public. Then we're going to have the keyword class. And again, this tells Java this is a class. So it's a public class that anyone can access. And then we write the class name. Not dog. And convention says we're going to capitalize our class name, and then we simply open a curly brace, and that becomes the start of our class. We can close our class here. Now, this is the beginning of our class, and now we can define our methods and all of those things, of the fields, all the stuff that we need for our dog in here. In another file in the same folder structure, let's go ahead and create a new class, and we'll call this class Kennel. Again, with a capital K. And in this public class, if you recall, every single Java program has to have a main method with that fantastic public static void main thing. So we're going to put that in the Kennel class. It only has to be in one class. So we're going to put our public static void main, public static void, and we'll call main. That's an I, and string args. Okay, so here is our public static void main, and inside of my public static void main, I can now instantiate, which is one of the things that we learned when we first learned about objects. I can now instantiate my own dog class from within my kennel class. So I can now say dog, so first define the data type, dog, and we'll call him Fido, equals a new dog class, just as we have done with other classes. And this is now a new dog, Fido. As long as these two files are within the same folder structure, we're going to be okay. Now, one thing to note is that these files have to have specific names. So the name of our file has to match the name of at least one class within the file. Now, we're not going to write multiple classes per file. That's generally not a good practice. So we're only going to write one class per file. So this is going to be dog.java. And this class is going to be kennel.java. And now those two classes are able to talk to each other, and we can now start getting some really, really complex and awesome interaction and programming that we can do with these two things. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to get those fields created, how to write our methods, and a fun little method called the constructor. I'll see you guys in the next lesson.